Hi there. I am so happy to see you today. We are here. The sun is shining in Atlanta. Finally, I'm out here at the Village Broadcasting Studio located in Jonesboro, Georgia. I'm on Main Street. This is my new building, 177 North Main Street in Jonesboro, Georgia. And this is where we film Sugar Busters. Every Saturday, you're going to see a Sugar Busters segment. Most of the days we're live. So we're coming to you live today. And the reason why I mention that is because if you're watching me on Facebook, everybody that you know, everybody that has diabetes in your family, everybody that you work with or you go to church with, set up a watch party for your Facebook group right now. Tell them to tune in to Sugar Busters, because this is a topic today that everybody needs to know about, whether you have diabetes, you have pre-diabetes, or if you're just overweight. Because today, what we're going to be talking about is obesity. And we're also going to be talking about nutrition and what you have to have and eat every day to live a healthy life. And right now during COVID-19, we really have to be eating healthy and nutritious because we need to make sure our immune system is looking really well. So we have our slides here, and we're going to be showing you the slides very shortly. But we're going to go ahead and get started and just kind of listen in. So Sugar Busters. This is nutrition, which is segment 3. And we last week we talked about diabetes, just in general. So if you missed that episode, it's on my website. We also talked about the super importance of monitoring your blood sugar. Everybody with diabetes and pre-diabetes should be monitoring their blood sugar. And you know why? Because when you monitor your blood sugar, you learn the effect of different foods on your blood sugar. So when we're thinking about starches, when we're thinking about sugars or carbohydrates, it's really important that we watch how much of that, so our sugars, our starches are called carbohydrates. We have to watch how much of that we eat in our diet. And for everybody's different. So sometimes you're more, your blood sugars go up higher due to rice. But maybe potatoes don't affect it as much. Maybe your blood sugars go up very high because of breads. All right, but maybe some of the fruits that you're eating doesn't affect it that much. So that is why it's important to monitor your blood sugar so that we can figure out what foods are making your blood sugar spike. Because we don't want the spikes. Because we talked about that last week. It's the spikes, the highs in your blood sugars that affect your eyes, your kidneys, your blood vessels, causes the long-term complications. So if you can figure out the effect of food on your blood sugar, then you're going to be able to keep your blood sugar constant throughout the day. So today, as I said, we're going to be talking about nutrition and healthy eating. But what you see there is a number of the other topics that we talk about. So we talk about heart disease, we talk about hypertension and cholesterol. We'll also do a men's health segment because I really want the men out there to really do a better job of taking care of their health. So I do a special segment for them. And then we talk about coping skills because it's tough when you find out that you have diabetes. A lot of people find out that they have it and really go into depression because they think they can never ever have the things that they like to eat ever again. And they don't want to take insulin injections. And so there's all sorts of stuff that happens. But you know, really, truly, in this day and age, for most people, we can control your blood sugar very nicely with you changing your eating habits and getting exercise. We can usually control your blood sugars with just the oral medication. So you don't necessarily have to go on an injection. But there are some people, in order for us to get you to your number of goal of an A1C as close to 7% as possible, you may have to take an insulin injection. So there are certain keys to managing your blood sugar. And this slide sort of goes through that. So it's a combination of healthy eating, exercise, the choices that you're making, monitoring your blood sugar. But you see in the center of this picture is education. And so you really need, if you have diabetes, to go through all of the 7 courses that we go through with Sugar Busters every Saturday. And I actually have a book that I've written. It's called A Self-Care Guide to Diabetes Control. It's available on my website, hovhealth.com. So you should get that book because it has a lot of really good information in there that will help you manage your blood sugar. Now, the question that people always ask me is, why do we need to watch what we eat? And you see our little gentleman that's on the screen. He's not happy. He's not happy with what that scale is telling him, all right? But I applaud him because he got on the scale, all right? What happens with people who are overweight? They don't weigh because they don't want to know. And they also don't have very many mirrors in their house because they don't want to really look and see what they look like. I tell you that you need to weigh every day or every other day. And I tell you that you need mirrors in your house, especially in your bedroom, because you need to see what you look like when you first get out of bed, right? Put on a bathing suit with the least amount of clothes you can have on. That's what you need to look at in the mirror because that's what you look like. And if you don't like the way you look, change it. And you can do that because obesity is a huge problem here in the United States, with 66% or more people being overweight and 33% or more people being obese. So we are probably the largest nation, developed nation in the world in terms of obesity. So we are not doing a good job here. And so we have to do better because obesity has been linked to a lot of very serious side effects. Let's talk about stroke. That's at the top there, right there, your brain. So obesity can increase your risk of stroke. Also heart attacks by clogging up your blood vessels and your veins, all right? Also heart failure. A lot of people that have heart failure are also obese. And then kidney failure. All of these things are affected by obesity. And so if you want to decrease your chance of getting these long-term complications, then trying to get your body weight down as close to normal as possible is a good idea. Now, how do you know if you're overweight? Well, you can get on the scale and there are charts that show you that what you're supposed to be based upon your height and your weight. And that's what your doctor uses when he's trying to figure out if you're overweight. That's also what your insurance company uses when you're trying to figure out how much of an insurance premium you need to pay. And people who are overweight and obese pay more for insurance than people who aren't. But there's something called the body mass index, and that's the value that I like to use. And this body mass index basically is a measure of height and weight that applies to both adults, men and women. So on this chart, you can see that they're considering you to be overweight once you get past 29.9. So if your BMI, your body mass index, is 30 or greater, right, then they're talking about that you are overweight. And if you're 30 or greater, you're obese. So for overweight, it's actually 25. They consider you to be overweight. And greater than 30, they consider you to be obese. Now I have patients, we take care of patients here at Healing Our Village. I have patients who have BMIs of 40, 45, 50. So they are very, very overweight. So African Americans and Latino populations have the highest rate of obesity here in our country, in the United States. So it's really important that we know our number and be able to calculate that. So if you don't know your BMI, right now where you're listening to me, just get your phone, go to Google, put in BMI calculator, and put in your height and your weight, hit the button, it's going to tell you your BMI. Because we want you to place yourself on charts that look like this, and we don't want you to be in the red zone. We want you to be in the green zone. So we want you to be normal weight, as close as possible. So you have to sort of figure out your starting point, so therefore you know where you're going. Because the data shows that if you lose 5 to 10% of your body weight, so wherever you're starting at, just multiply it times 5% or 10%, then that way you will decrease your blood pressure and your blood sugar significantly. We know that. Just a 5 to 10% weight loss makes a huge difference in your blood pressure and your blood sugar. Okay, so for instance, if you're 230 pounds, 10% is 23 pounds. Yeah, that's your goal. You would try to lose 23 pounds, and we would like you to lose that slowly. All right, we're trying to have you shoot for 2 pounds a week. So losing it slowly, gradually, over a 4 to 6 month period of time. That's what our goal is for you. All right, so these are going to be small changes that you're going to make in what you eat and how you cook it so that you'll be able to get there. Now, this is an African proverb, and it basically says, if you wait for tomorrow, I guarantee you tomorrow will come. And if you don't wait for tomorrow, tomorrow's still going to come. So stop waiting. I know everybody says, well, I'm going to start my diet on Monday. Okay, so no. Today, I want you to do something toward starting to get the weight off. And let me tell you the easiest thing to do. I'm going to tell you the one thing that I tell people all the time. They say, Dr. Coleman, how can I lose weight? And I say to those folks, stop drinking your calories. Stop drinking your calories. So for those of you who are going out and buying various iced teas and sodas and all these things, juices from, the various mini marts, right, and grocery stores, I want you to turn that label and read it and look at how many calories you're consuming in that drink. And that thing should be 5 calories, no more than 5 calories. We'd like it to be 0. So you've got to stop drinking your calories. That's the first thing you can do to be able to go toward losing weight. If you go into a fast food drive-through and you're getting a Coke, all right, and you're getting an extra large because you usually supersize everything, that extra large soda that you're drinking has about 250 calories in it. It's a lot of calories. All right, so you got to stop drinking your calories. You want to eat your calories, all right, so that you won't be hungry. So we're trying to encourage you to start eating right. All right, and this is a picture of what eating right looks like. So you see there's a lot of veggies, but you also see there's chocolate. The diet that I like the best is called the Dr. Will's inflammatory diet. It decreases the inflammation in your body. I think it's important that we decrease the inflammation, because it's the inflammation that causes a lot of the cardiovascular problems, but it also is the one that decreases your immune system. And so just being overweight or obese means that you have a lot of inflammation in your body. So in the Dr. Will diet, it allows you to have a little bit, not a lot. I didn't say go out there and start eating chocolate, folks. I didn't say that. I said you can have a little bit of chocolate. You can also have a little bit of red wine, all right, if your doctor says that that's okay, all right? And it has green tea as part of the diet. And I'm a real proponent of green tea. Green tea also helps your immune system. And right now, with this virus going around the country, everybody needs to be thinking about their immune system, making sure that they're eating healthy, they're eating right, and they're getting their full complement of minerals. So your zinc and your magnesium and all of those, your chromium picolinate, you need to get as many minerals in your diet as possible. And that you do that by fresh fruits and vegetables. And minimizing the amount of fast foods that you eat. So, there's something called the food pyramid, my pyramid. This comes from the FDA. And this really is very helpful. If you go up online and you just put in my pyramid, it's going to tell, it has recipes, it has how many calories they want you to eat. It shows you what foods you should eat a lot of and what foods you should have a small amount of. We want you to try to eat 3 meals a day. And that's hard. It's hard. I know for me, it's hard. Breakfast is the hardest one for me because I'm usually running late, and so I just usually leave the house without eating anything. So I end up taking stuff with me in the car. Is what I end up doing in order to get the food in, which is not what I'm telling you to do, but I'm just telling you that's what I have to do. So same time every day, don't skip meals. Try to get your 3 meals, a couple of snacks in, and trying to eat the same amount every day. That's very important. So here's your Dr. Will's anti-inflammatory diet, and I really like that, right? So you see it's got your chocolate, it's got your wine, it's got your green tea, all there at the top of the pyramid. When it's at the top of the pyramid, you see the top of the pyramid is small. So that means it wants you to eat a small amount of those things at the top of the pyramid. It wants you to eat a lot of the things that they show at the bottom of the pyramid, right? So when you're looking at these food pyramids, that's usually what it tells you to do. And you can see at the bottom of the pyramid, they want you to eat as much fruits and vegetables as you possibly can. Now, it's important that you plan your meals. You need to go grocery shopping. You need to get the stuff into your refrigerator. It's very important because when you come home or you're ready to eat, you need to have thawed out or have ready to eat what you're planning to have for dinner that night. You need to think about what you're going to eat for lunch. Are you going to make your lunch and take it with you? You got to plan your meals. Because if you don't do meal planning, that's going to be a real problem. So I think that is something that you definitely need to do. So improving health through optimal nutrition is very, very important. So this is another thing that we have to think about. Now, how do you figure out meal planning? How do you approach it? Okay, well, I just gave you the food guide pyramids, all right? There are certain ways that you can do it that are easier than others. Carbohydrate counting is what a lot of people with diabetes do, where the doctor has you actually counting your carbohydrates, and that's how you know how much insulin to give yourself after or before a meal. There's something called the plate method, which is the one that I like. So when you have your plate, half of your plate needs to be fruits and vegetables. Okay, only a quarter of your plate should be meat and a quarter of your plate should be starches. You got to figure out what you're going to do when you're away from home. And most patients can have some alcoholic drinks. We usually want you to only do wine though. We don't really want you to stay away from the hard liquors like whiskey and bourbon and vodka. Rum especially, because those rum, is made from sugar cane. So that has a lot of carbohydrate calories in it. But your decision to drink or not drink should be discussed with your physician so that you can decide if that's something you should do. Remember that when you're thinking about alcohol basically is like putting on a pat of butter. It's considered to be a fat. So you'll say, oh, I'm drinking my red wine. That means I'm having my grapes for the day. No, it's not a fruit. Okay, folks, it's a fat. All right, sorry, I hate to burst your bubble, but that's what's up. So this slide looks at the foods that are high in calories and low in calories. So we want you to try to have small amounts or avoid the foods that are high in calories so that you could eat more of the foods that are low in calories. So high in calories, salad dressing, peanut butter, whole milk, fried foods, fried chicken, cakes, cookies, ice creams. All of those are many of those are carbohydrates. There's sugars and starches, and we want you to keep those down. Foods that are low in calories are your pears, your grapes, your apples, your melons like cantaloupe, very good. Strawberries, very good. Blueberries, all your berries are usually low in calories. They also have some fiber in it. We want you to eat foods that are high in water and high in fiber. Whole grains, if you're going to pick between brown bread and white bread, you're going to eat the brown bread. So if you're going to pick between white rice and brown rice, you're going to eat the brown rice. So we want to increase your fiber as much as you can. Lettuce, cucumbers, full of water. So that's a good thing. We want you to eat as much of that as possible. I try to eat a salad every day. I happen to like coleslaw. So I like cabbage. So I usually just buy that and I chop it up. I have it ready for me in the refrigerator. So all I have to do is just come in and get that out of the container and my salad's ready to go. Guidelines to healthy eating: we want you to roast, bake, and broil your food. We want you to trim as much of the fat off of the meat as possible. Avoid frying. I happen to love fried foods. So I bought myself a hot air fryer. So that's how I eat my fried foods, because I love fried foods. And I'm telling you, this hot air fryer is amazing. I don't know how it does it. But these fried foods taste exactly like they do, instead I'm not putting it in a frying pan with a whole bunch of oil. I try to eat very little bits of bacon, sausage, hot dogs. I don't use butter. Very little margarine. I do eat nuts, but only a small amount. You can't have a lot of nuts. Again, salad dressings. I usually buy low-calorie salad dressings, so that's what I put on my salad. So these are all the sort of things you need to think about. We want you to eat more fish and chicken, turkey. All right, you can have meat, but we want the number of meals of meat in a week to be few, only maybe 2 to 3. When you're talking about a week, that's 3 meals a day, it's 21 meals. So we're talking about maybe 2 or 3 of those meals you're eating meat. We want you to, if you're drinking milk, it needs to be skim milk or low-fat milk. If you're cooking, we want you to use some good nonstick pans so the food doesn't stick, and then you're using those sprays, coating sprays, to coat the pan. Some of the newer pans don't even need that. We want you to use, if you're going to use oil, you're going to use vegetable oil. We like canola oil as the one that we usually recommend. You're not going to be cooking in butter or margarine anymore. Now, let's break it down in terms of what are the different food groups, okay? The ones that we care about for diabetes, the ones that increase your blood sugar, are carbohydrates. So when we're talking about carbohydrates, we're talking about, is it a simple carbohydrate or a complex carbohydrate? We want you to eat as much complex carbohydrates as possible. So a simple carbohydrate would be like drinking orange juice, right? That's a very fast source. Anything you drink gets into your bloodstream very, very quickly. Anything you eat takes longer to be digested, and the longer it takes to digest, the better it is for your blood sugar, all right? It's because we know that it's the carbohydrates that are quickly converted to glucose, and that's what dramatically increases your blood sugar, all right? So now you have to have some carbohydrates because that's the body's main source of energy. So you have to have them. We just want you to pick very carefully which ones you include in your diet and not to eat a whole bunch of carbohydrates. Now, let's talk about the different carbohydrates. So there are the simple sugars, the fast carbohydrates. So that's your candy, your fruit, your table sugar, your corn syrup. A lot of times when you're looking at your labels and then you say, oh, well, this doesn't have any sugar in it. Okay, keep reading, because what the label will say is corn syrup, and corn syrup is a type of sugar. All right, so if whatever you're eating has a lot of corn syrup in it, that means it's high in carbohydrate. All right, now, the thing about carbohydrates and why people like to eat them is because it satisfies you. All right, so it decreases your hunger. It's absorbed quickly in your body and gives you that energy boost that we talked about. But this whole idea that fruit juice concentrate is healthier, okay, than things that are sweetened with sugar, that's not true. That's a myth. So when you're talking about eating, again, you're trying to avoid those simple sugars, those fast sugars, and you're trying to eat more complex carbohydrates because it takes more energy for your body to digest it. And it usually has more vitamins and minerals and fiber in it, all right? So eating an orange is better than having orange juice because it's going to take more for your body to break it down, and it has fiber in it. So therefore, that's why when you're always making these choices, this versus that, That's what you got to keep in mind. We also know that complex carbohydrates are very good for decreasing your insulin levels. So it improves insulin sensitivity. That means that your pancreas, which we talked about last week, their pancreas doesn't have to secrete as much insulin into your bloodstream when it's dealing with complex carbohydrates that take a longer time to digest. If you drink your carbohydrate, or it's a fast source, then your insulin spikes in order to compensate for what you've just eaten, and that's bad because what insulin does is make fat. Insulin helps you store fat. That's its job. And the higher your insulin levels are, the higher it is that your body's going to want to store fat. Okay, so let's talk some more about complex carbohydrates because this is important. So that includes your breads, your cereals, your beans, your pasta, your potatoes, all your starchy vegetables. Okay, all of those are considered to be complex carbohydrates, all right? They're a very good source of daily calories. They're very effective in giving you some energy. And when you're thinking about the fiber content in those complex carbohydrates, you're thinking about, is it soluble fiber or insoluble fiber? So there is a difference. And that's when you say, oh man, I don't know what she's talking about. That's when we need to start talking to our dietitians. Every one of you out there who are trying to lose weight or have diabetes need to talk to a registered dietitian. They will go through what you're eating with you, what foods you like to eat, and they'll start having these conversations with you about, is it simple or is it complex? Is the fiber soluble or insoluble? That's when you start to really refine what you're eating, so it's very important. Now let's talk a little bit about protein. Everybody needs protein in their diet, all right? If you're a vegetarian, if you're vegan, it is hard for you to get all the protein that you need. It's hard. Not that you can't, but it's just harder, all right? Because the most common source of protein are meats, fish, chicken, turkey. Those are your most common sources of protein, and protein is important because it rebuilds your muscles and it helps your enzyme systems and your body digest your food. So that's important. That's important. If you start to break down muscle, then this is bad. We don't want you to do that. So that's why you need to have as much protein in your diet as possible. So if you are vegan, you need to really be sure that you're getting enough of your plant-based proteins as you possibly can, all right? You need about 15% of your total calories, or about 75 grams of your diet that you eat on a pretty much daily basis, needs to be protein. So that's about 6 to 8 ounces of protein per day. 2 to 3 servings of 8 ounces of a non-fat dairy can also help you with protein. But a lot of folks who are vegan also don't do dairy. So that makes it harder, again, for them to get the protein that they need. They also sometimes don't like to eat animal byproducts, so they don't eat eggs. All right, so being a vegan can be very difficult. Most of the folks that I know who tend to stay very healthy and also keep their weight down are pescatarians. So they basically have taken meat out of their diet, but they do eat a lot of fish, and fish is very healthy for you. Let's talk a little bit about milk products. We would like you to have dairy, especially if you're an African American. There was a study done with looking at sort of what African Americans do best with in terms of diets, and it was called the DASH diet, which was dietary to stop dietary approaches to stop hypertension, DASH, dietary approaches to stop hypertension. It found that in African Americans that were on this particular diet that had dairy in it, their blood pressures were lower. And that's good because African Americans have the highest rate of hypertension in the world. Okay, so we always want to think about high blood pressure and your heart when we're doing anything related to your eating habits and also trying to manage your diabetes. So we want you to have at least 2 or so servings of dairy a day. We would like you to do skim or low fat. That yogurt also counts. If for those of you who love yogurt, that's good. Just read the back of the label to make sure that it's about 100 calories, 120 calories. You don't want to be eating yogurt that's 250, 300 calories, okay? So we want you to get your dairy in, but you also have to look at the calorie content of that dairy that you're taking in. Fat. Everybody has to have a little fat in their diet. That is true. But you need to reduce your total fat intake down to 30% or less. So we, again, need you reading those labels, those food labels, to look at the fat content. And we want you to use monounsaturated fats as opposed to saturated fats. So let's talk a little bit about that. What is a saturated fat? A saturated fat are usually seen in meat, in lard. For those of you who remember Crisco shortening, right, that's a saturated fat. Butter, whole milk, coconut oil, palm oil. They may be healthy, but they have a lot of fat. And then there are some hydrogenated vegetable oils that are also fat. So here is a picture of what these fats look like. These are saturated fats, and you see the white in there. Okay, so you can see what this looks like. So you can see that butter and beef have the highest amount, also lamb. But if you start talking about your fish, very little fat in your fish, right? So that's saturated fats. You know, we're going to take a break right here. We're going to come back and talk to you more about the types of fats that you're eating in your diet. But let me let you get up, stretch your legs, have a glass of water, and come on back.
Take it out there and bring it up. I'm going to keep going. Okay.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Epigallocatechin gallate,
Okay.
superoxide dismutase, glutathione peroxidase. Now, those are names you probably aren't familiar with, but you should be. Those are antioxidants known to fight free radicals. In fact, did you know that some viruses are actually alcohol resistant? One major study showed that by adding the epigallocatechins from green tea, it killed the virus on contact. Please allow me to introduce myself. My name is Mark Johnson. I'm here to share with you an exciting new, technologically advanced, patent-pending green tea hand sanitizing wash from Handout Protection.
Yes and no, you don't like to
This is not your typical hand gel designed to just smear all over your hand. This is a hand-washing sanitizer to cover your entire hand, both the front and back of your hand, in between your fingers and your wrist. This is a non-sticky sanitizing hand wash designed for convenience to take with you in your purse, pocket,
I'm waiting.
or carry in your lunchbox.
I'm waiting for you.
As Dr. Josh Ridge has stated, what goes on your body goes into your body.
So until you
that
get
is why
there,
we
I'm
choose
trying
only
to
the
kind of
highest
talk about other stuff.
FDA-compliant ingredients, such
Okay,
as 75%
'Cause I'm waiting on
isopropyl
you.
alcohol
Okay.
and organic green tea brewed with alkaline water. The only way to protect yourself and your family is to always carry a disposable package of Handout with you. This may be the only handout you ever need.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Hey, welcome back. Welcome back to Sugar Busters. And we're talking about fats. We're talking about saturated fats. And we talked about, you know, meats and butters are high in saturated fat. But here's some more saturated fats. You got coconut, you got palm kernel, you got, these are all oils. And you can see that these are cocoa, chocolate. That's why when we talk about not eating too much fats, too much chocolate, that's because chocolate has a lot of fat. So all of these would be oils that you would not use. A lot of people are using coconut oil. This coconut oil is full of fat. All right, so let's talk about monounsaturated fats now. Okay, so that's the ones we really want you to use. So that's your canola, your peanut oils. We know that these lower total cholesterol. And this is what represents the Mediterranean diet, So these are the ones that we want you to utilize, okay? So now here are your vials that have the olive and the avocado, your canola. You can see these are all really, really low in fat. You can see that there's hardly any white in those tubes. So this is a good pictorial. That's why I want you to use that canola oil. If you're going to use an oil to cook your foods, that's the one that we like the best, okay? All right, now, let's talk about polyunsaturated fats. So we talked about saturated fats, talked about monounsaturated fats. Now we're talking about polyunsaturated fats. You see, you didn't even know there were all these different types of fat. There is. And they all do different things. So the polyunsaturated fats are what you get when you eat a lot of fish. That's what's in fish, okay? The omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids are really good for lowering your triglycerides. That's a good thing because it's triglycerides that people with diabetes have high levels of triglycerides. So that's why we want people with diabetes to have more fish in their diet, all right? So it's usually these polyunsaturated fats are usually found in vegetables and fish oils. And you can tell about these because they tend to be liquid at room temperature and at refrigerator temperature. So if you put them in the refrigerator, they're still going to stay liquid. If you put a saturated fat in the refrigerator, it's going to solidify. It's going to become solid. All right? So we want you to, especially if you have high cholesterol, to make sure that you're eating a lot of your polyunsaturated fats. Okay, so here we go. That's your safflower oil, your wheat germ, all right? Corn, for those of you who like corn out there, that's a good thing, all right? And then soybeans. That's why when you're a population that eats a lot of soybeans, people who are from the Asian culture, they eat a lot of soybean in their diet. They end up not having necessarily a huge problem with cardiovascular effects, right? They have low levels of heart attacks and strokes as compared to African Americans, right? So that is why, it's because their diet is high in polyunsaturated fats. There is also something called oleic acid, okay? That's also in these polyunsaturated fats. So we find oleic acid in canola oil, hazelnut, pecan oil, soybean oil. These are also very healthy for you, right? Oleic acid has been found to be beneficial in terms of your overall cardiovascular health. So this is something that we want to encourage you to do. Now, let's talk a little bit about salt. Salt is a problem. If you're African American, I can tell you right now, you're eating too much salt in your diet. And that's why African Americans have such a high rate of hypertension, because they eat too much salt in their diet, and their bodies tend to hold on to salt and water. And so because of that, that increases their blood pressure, along with a lot of other things. So most Americans are consuming 8 to 12 grams a day of salt. And the reason we are consuming so much salt is because it's in the processed foods that we're eating. So your TV dinners, your canned foods, your fast foods, all of those are heavy salt, heavy salt. The reason why is because, just think about that. Have you ever, I don't know if you've ever thought about it, but if you've ever watched the folks at your fast food restaurant make French fries, did you ever notice that the French fries are white? If you buy you a potato and you cut it up to make French fries, you leave it out in the air for a minute, it's not going to be white. It's going to turn brown. So the reason why those French fries, okay, never turn colors is because of the processing that goes on in those French fries, right? And salt is used, I mean, you cure a ham with salt. Okay, salt pork, all right? Some of you used to put that in your greens, all right? Salt is a curative. So we don't want to curate your body parts, okay, people? We got to decrease the salt. 15% of salt can be added to your food or the table, but we basically want you to don't cook with a lot of salt, don't add a lot of salt to the table. You can have a teaspoon total, a teaspoon of salt a day, only a teaspoon. And that's about 2,400 milligrams of sodium. So that's what we want you to have. Now, I just told you, you're eating 8 to 12 grams of salt a day, and I'm telling you that I need you to do 2,400 milligrams. So that's 2 grams of salt a day. Very important. Okay, now, how do you reduce your salt intake? Substitute herbs and spices for your food flavorings, all right? Eat less of salty foods like potato chips, lunch meat, hot dogs, salt pork, ham hocks, dill pickles, canned foods. You have to eat less of that. If you're eating canned foods because you know they're not so expensive and it's part of a staple, it's part of your way you shop, that's okay. Just when you open up the can, rinse, don't cook in the juice that's in the can. Rinse that stuff off, all right, and under some water. So you're rinsing all of the juice, all of the salt off of the canned vegetable that you're using, all right? So it's really important, again, not to cook with salt, not to put salt on at the table. Avoid foods that you know are high in salt, especially if you're African American and you have high blood pressure, all right? Eat more raw fruits, raw vegetables. Again, watch out for those salted nuts, right? So when you read the label of whatever you're buying, if it says salted, don't buy it. It's real simple, okay? So you gotta read your food labels looking for the words low salt or low sodium. So we went through some of the high salty foods. That's your cheeses, your soups, they're also on that list, all right? And things that say salt on the label, like seasoning salt, onion salt, garlic salt. That means they're salt. So you can't cook with those. You have to cook with the powders, garlic powder, onion powder, your spices, and your herbs. All right? That is how you decrease the salt in your diet. All right, let's talk a little bit about fiber. Fiber is really important, and let me tell you why. If you eat a high fiber diet, it decreases your risk of cancer as well. So not only is it good for you to lose weight, not only does it also help the digestion so your blood sugars don't spike, but it also can decrease your cancer risk. So we gotta eat more fiber in our diets, which means eating things raw as much as you can. So carrots, celery, cucumbers, that's what we put in our salad and we just cut them up, they're raw. That's good. Use those to snack. So if you like to snack, cut up some celery sticks, a little bit of peanut butter. That's a really good snack. Eating, again, your whole grains, your whole cereals, your whole crackers, dry peas, beans, all of those, lentils, all of those are good. Wild rice, brown rice, barley, all of those are good. Oatmeal in the morning for your breakfast, that's a good thing. All right, all of that gets you your fiber. Now let's talk a little bit about meats. You know, I'm a meat eater. So I could never be a vegan. I wouldn't, okay. I'm a meat eater. I like meat. I just have small amounts and I don't have it very much. And I happen to like the barbecue. So I'm a griller. So I have a grill. I throw my meats on the grill. So that way I can, or I bake, or I roast. Okay, that's how I get my meats in. All right, so when you're looking at calorie content, if you're a man and you're doing 1,800 calories, or you're a woman and you're doing somewhere between 1,200 to 1,500 calories, this slide shows you sort of what that looks like. So if you're doing a 1,500 calorie diet, you're looking at having a small pork chop maybe, or a small hamburger, or a really small chicken breast, or maybe a whole medium fish fillet. So fish, because it has got lower calories, lower fat, you're able to have more of fish in your diet, right? So meats and fish, chicken, lamb, pork, you can have all of that. You just have to not have it as frequently. You can't eat it every day for sure. Fruits and vegetables, you got to figure out how to arrive at 5. You need to have 5 fruits and vegetables a day. And the only way to do that is you're going to have to include it in every meal and as part of your snacks. It's impossible to get to 5 if you don't do that. So if you got your little oatmeal in the morning, throw some blueberries in there. If you've eaten a salad, cut up some strawberries in there. So this is the way you arrive at 5. Cut up an apple, anything, throw some grapes in there. All of that will help you arrive at 5. You want to have a little dessert, cut up your strawberries, put a little low-fat Cool Whip on there, then you're able to have that as your snack or your dessert. All of that gets you to 5. We want you to eat your fruits because number 1, they have very little fat, and they're a good source of fiber. So that's why we say fruits and vegetables, fruits and vegetables. That's all you hear from us because those things help you decrease the weight, they fill you up, they have the fiber in there, decreases your blood sugar, decreases your blood pressure, and also keeps your blood sugar from spiking. Okay? So that's why we're moving you in that direction. So a bowl of fruit, add berries, applesauce is really good, sticks of carrots, sticks of celery, raisins, a little box of raisins, that's good. I can throw that in your cereals or throw that in your salads. All of that works. We want you to choose fruit for dessert if you can, or we talked about the low-fat yogurt. That's another way to be able to get to 5. If you like soups, throw some vegetables into that soup, right? Grate up some zucchini or some carrots. If you're making casseroles, throw your veggies in there. In your lasagna, if you're making a lasagna, throw some veggies in there. Some mushrooms, some celery, some bell pepper. All of that helps to be able to arrive at 5. Earlier I said that everybody needs to be seeing a dietitian. I really believe in that. It's very hard for you to know if what you're eating actually works for you. So if you see a dietitian, they're going to help you eat the foods you like, but in a way that's healthy. So they'll teach you how to cook it. They'll teach you how to buy it, you know, because there's certain things that you need to know about when you're shopping, what to look for. They'll teach you how to read a food label. All of that's really important. If you don't have a dietitian or don't know where to find one, we have them here at Healing Our Village. I can hook you up with one of our dietitian experts and they can do some one-on-one counseling with you. So this is another thing that we have and offer as part of our services here at Healing Our Village. I have pharmacy experts, I have dietitian experts, I have medical experts. We're all here to help you. I even have lifestyle coaches that will help you just figure out the kinds of choices that you're making in your life and help you make better choices. This is that food label I've been talking about. This food label is called Nutrition Facts. It tells you what and how much you're eating of your fat, your carbohydrate, tells you how much sodium is in what you're eating, and it tells you the serving size, how many calories per serving. So that's the first thing you got to learn. When you turn over that label and you look at it, it's going to tell you that it has 3 servings. And those 3 servings mean X. So for instance, turn over a bag of potato chips. It's going to tell you that it has 2 servings in it, and each serving is 10 chips. And those chips, or that serving, is 100 calories. So if you eat the whole bag of chips, because it was 2 servings, that means you're getting 200 calories if you eat the whole thing. So you have to look at the serving size, very important. And then for those of you who have diabetes, you're focusing in on the carbohydrate content of whatever you're eating, how much sugar it's got in it. And for those who have high blood pressure, you're focusing in on the sodium content of whatever you're eating. So you want those numbers to be as low as possible. So in this example, this particular product, right, is frozen carrots. It has a total fat of 0. All right, saturated fat of 0. It also has sodium of about 95 milligrams. Remember I told you could have 2,400 milligrams. So this was 95 of it. But it also tells you that it's got fiber. See, the fiber's right there. Dietary fiber, 2 grams. And it also tells you it has some sugar in it. So you would have to count that. All right. So for most people with diabetes, we would like you to have about 50 grams of carbohydrate each meal, about 50 grams. So that when you're putting your meal together, you're looking at your labels and you're counting up how much you're having, okay? Now, portions. This is really simple. People talk to me about losing weight all the time, and it's really about calories in, calories out. Okay, so you need to be burning more calories than you're taking in. It's real simple. If you want to stay where you are, and if you want to lose weight, that means you got to be taking in less calories than you're burning. You need to be burning more calories than you're taking in. That makes you lose weight. Okay, we want you to decrease, to lose 1 pound, you have to decrease the amount of calories that you're taking in, all right, by 3,500. 500 a day will get you to 3,500. You need to lose a pound. You need to cut your calories down by 3,500 over that 7-day period of time. Or burn up 3,500 calories. It's really simple. Calories in, calories out. So portion sizes will help you with that. So the smaller amounts you eat, the easier it is for your body to handle it and burn it fast. So we're looking at, when you talk about chopped up vegetables, that's about 1/2 cup. It's about the size of a baseball. When you're looking at pasta, it's about 1/2 cup. Again, half of a baseball. All right, so we're looking at fresh fruit. You can have 1 medium fresh fruit, which is the size of a baseball. So when you're having meat, they always say the meat should be about the size of the palm of your hand. All right, that should be a serving size. So when you're trying to eat, remember we talked about the plate method? So all of those vegetables, they're taking up half the plate. The vegetables, the fruits, those are taking up half the plate. The meats are taking up 1/4 of the plate. The starches are taking up the other 1/4 of the plate. All right, and that, if you do that, that decreases your portions and decreases your calories, and therefore you will lose weight. So learning how to sort of to substitute and to shop is very important. When you're looking at how to substitute, you're looking at substituting maybe your pretzels for your regular chips. All right, looking how to decrease your sour cream, but if you're going to use sour cream, we're looking at a very small amount. If you're talking about your regular cheese, we want you to go to low-fat cheese. And they have that. It says reduced fat on the bag. I've seen it. That's what I buy. Mayonnaise, I use low-fat mayonnaise. It says it on there. Instead of necessarily having a ribeye steak, you might want to go to some turkey instead, have turkey thighs. So as you're going from one column to the other column, we're trying to get you to substitute your food. Alcohol, yes, you can have it. Again, that's a discussion with your doctor just to make double check, but we want you to not be drinking the higher carbohydrate, higher sugary alcohol. So rum, I mentioned, made from sugar cane, all right? Whereas vodka, all right, is made from wheat products. So therefore, it's better for you to have that than the rum. But I really like to suggest that the patients have wine. If you look at your Mediterranean diet, which is the diet that I like the best, because it's low fat and it has a lot of vegetables in it, that diet does allow you to have a little bit of wine. So usually red wine. Red wine is better for the heart than white wine. So again, alcohol, when you're counting it in your food plan, it's considered to be a fat. All right. It's also a depressant. And sometimes for some people it can decrease your blood sugar. So you really have to figure out, that's why testing of your blood sugar is so important, because you need to know the effect of certain things on your blood sugar. So alcohol is one of those that may increase or may decrease your blood sugar. So basically, again, you're checking with your doctor. Because alcohol can lower the blood glucose, it's best to drink it with the meal, not by itself. And we want you to avoid any sweet wines, any things that are sweetened that have a high sugar content. When you think about wine, here's a list. You've got your champagne on there, your white wine, your sweet wine, your wine cooler. You can see they're considered to be a fat exchange. For those Weight Watchers out there that does the Weight Watchers diet, you know what I'm talking about when I talk about fat exchanges, okay? So that's what alcohol is considered. This slide is important. This slide says that you can lie to everybody else, but don't lie to yourself. So if you look in that mirror and you know that you need to start doing something about that extra weight you're carrying around, you just got to do it. You know when you sit down and you're driving through those fast food lines that you shouldn't be doing that. And if you're going to drive through because you need to, because you only have a 30-minute break before you got to get back to work, then look at that menu at the fast food place and pick some of the picks and choices that we've talked about today. So instead of getting the hamburger, you get the chicken sandwich. When you get the chicken sandwich, you take one of the buns off. You only have one piece of bread instead of two. All right? You don't get the big 32-ounce soda. Or if you do, you're going to get diet. So it doesn't have any calories. All right? So all of those are the choices that you get to make as you're going through these various fast food lines. If you pick fast food like Subway or Chipotle or those where you can have those choices. Yes, I want this. No, I don't want that. That really helps in terms of picking as opposed to foods that are already put together. Good snacking. I wanted you to do 3 meals, a couple of snacks. An apple is good. A cup of blueberries, wonderful. A half a banana, because sometimes the bananas are kind of big. So if you get a big banana, you need to have half of it. But if it's a small banana, then you can have the whole thing. Some wheat toast with a little bit of peanut butter on it. All of those are things that you can do to be able to snack. Because we want your body to know that it's going to be fed throughout the day. When the body knows it's going to be fed, and you're not starving the body by eating only 1 meal a day, but if the body knows that food's coming, then it's going to metabolize and burn up that food and that you eat more efficiently. But if the body thinks that you're not going to eat but 1 meal a day, it's going to hold on to everything that you eat and store it as fat. That's just the way the body works. So that's why eating every 2 to 3 hours is what we suggest, for you to be able to get your body metabolism working better. Other tips for snacking is those 100-calorie snacks. They sell them in the grocery stores. That way you know how many calories you're eating. They're already prepackaged, so it helps you not overdo it on your snacking. Also, when you're thinking about 100-calorie snacks, this shows you how much exercise you got to do to burn up that 100 calories. So that's 18 minutes of dancing, or walking for 27 minutes, or running for 10 minutes, or bicycling for 10 minutes. Calories in, calories out. So what this is showing you is that being active is a good thing. I have several patients who have actually lost weight because every time they ate their meal, they wait about 10, 15 minutes, and then they would go for a walk. They would walk for 20 minutes. So they found that if they, just by doing that 3 times a day after every meal, they were able to get the weight down. Or they would just do it after their biggest meal. So they would eat their biggest meal of the day, lunch or dinner, whatever it was for them, and then they would wait about 15 minutes, and then they would go out and burn up the calories. So again, this kind of gives you an idea of how many calories you're burning to burn and how much exercise you have to do to burn 100 calories. So that is the end of this presentation. I hope you enjoyed it. It's everything you need to know about healthy eating and nutrition. It's a little complicated. It is. It's a little complicated. Trust me. That's why I recommend everybody talk to a dietitian or a licensed nutritionist so that you can understand and be able to eat. But you know, there are certain diets out there that are already pre-planned for you. So the DASH diet is good for high blood pressure. The Dr. Wheel diet is good for people who have arthritis or like a more Mediterranean type diet. So they're out there. There's recipes. There's all of these things that'll help you be able to lose weight. We work closely with the folks that wrote the Soul Food Cookbook. A lot of the recipes that they have are actually going to be on my new weight loss app that we're about to launch next month. I'm very excited about that. I've been telling you about it for the last few months, but we're almost done working all the bugs out. It's called Step Up 90. And you'll be able to lose 5 to 10% of your body weight by using the Step Up 90 weight loss app. So I'll let you know when it's ready for purchase. And I think it's going to help a lot of you. And I got a lot of the soul food cookbook recipes as part of the app. So this is Dr. Lenore Coleman, president and founder of Healing Our Village. I hope you enjoyed our show today. If you have questions, my phone should be ringing off the hook, 800-788-0941. And we have a nonprofit that we're doing work now with COVID-19 here in Clayton County and throughout the greater Atlanta area. And we need your help. We need your donations to be able to get out here and do a good job with COVID-19. But for the next 12 months, a lot of the things that we're doing are going to be free of charge because I got a grant to try to get more people to get vaccinated. And so I'm really focused on COVID-19. So let's talk a little bit about COVID-19. I try to have a little COVID-19 conversation at the end of my diabetes segments. And these are actually separate clips that are available on our websites, and you'll be receiving them as part of our social media, Instagram and Facebook. For those of you who haven't liked my page yet, Healing Our Village Official, if you're not part of my Instagram network, please go to our website, hovhealth.com, click on the link, like our pages, because this is how you know when I'm coming to you live with important information, and especially related to COVID-19. Most of our COVID stuff will be up on our nonprofit website, which is tlcglobal.org. That's Total Lifestyle Change. So let's talk a little bit about COVID. Right now in the news, what happened this week is booster shots. A lot of confusion about who gets a booster, who needs a booster. If I took Pfizer, should I get the Pfizer booster? Or if I took Moderna or J&J as my shot, or AstraZeneca, if you're in other parts of the world, should I get the Pfizer booster? Because Pfizer right now in the United States is the only company that their data has been approved by the FDA to be a booster shot. So there was some controversy this week. So the FDA approved it, said that the shot was safe, said that by getting a booster, it would be very good to increase your antibody levels to their highest point, especially if it's been 8 months or more since your second shot. All right, so with Pfizer, you have to get 2 shots, and then look at your vaccine card. If it's been about 8 months, then it's probably good for you to get a booster if you're in certain categories of people. So initially they said this week, it was 65 or older, so you're elderly. If you got Pfizer, you should get another Pfizer booster. They also said if you were in that high risk category of patients, so if you have cancer or you've got other kinds of autoimmune diseases, or if you're have diabetes or some of the other major chronic illnesses, right, that really put you at risk. And this is a discussion with your doctor. You need to figure this out. You should get a booster. And you're going to get the Pfizer booster because you got the Pfizer shot. Now, there's a lot of discussion about, well, can I mix and match? I got Moderna, but I want to get a Pfizer booster. Should I do that? Well, the CDC said no. There's no data out there saying that we're supposed to be mixing and matching, folks. You can't just do stuff. What is this about folks just doing stuff? Okay, everything that you do in medicine needs to be studied so that we can know and make our educated guesses on what is best based upon data. So Pfizer shot has been approved for a booster. If you got the Pfizer vaccine, it's been 8 months since you got your second shot. You're in that high risk category of the elderly or autoimmune, or we're worried about you in terms of risk, especially with the new variants that are out there. Delta variant is the one that's most common. Yes, you should get a booster. I took Moderna. I took my 2 shots. I've got to wait till Moderna gets approved. Now, Moderna has already submitted their data. It's being looked at. I'm sure that the FDA expert committee will be looking at that data very quickly, because they know that all of us Moderna folks are waiting to get the booster. I fall in the category. I'm 68 years old. So as soon as the Moderna booster gets out there, I'm gonna get it, because I got my shot back in February. So it's gonna be time by the time that that booster comes out. So yes, I'm gonna get it. Yes, I'm gonna get it, because I want my antibody levels to be as high as possible. That makes sense to me, yes? Okay, so this is the data that's out there right now about the booster. Now, the head of the CDC decided that she was gonna make an executive decision, and she added some folks onto that list of people who should get a booster. And she added healthcare professionals, she added teachers. Okay? So I would suggest that if you have any confusion about what to do with boosters, to go to the CDC website, cdc.gov. It's going to tell you. In fact, what I did this morning is I typed in to Google, should I get a booster? Okay, it's really simple. And all the information that came from the CDC was right there to answer my question. So it'll say very clearly what you're doing, okay? So I'm gonna stop here. Thank you so much. That was our COVID conversation for today. And we're gonna be back at you in another hour. We're gonna be coming back, so make sure your notifications are on. We're gonna do For Your Health COVID conversation with Dr. Christy Winsome from Jamaica, because this is a global show and I wanna know what's happening in Jamaica today. Take care. Hi, I'm Dr. Lenore Coleman, president and founder of Healing Our Village. Thank you so much for tuning in to Sugar Busters today. Spread the word. Let your friends and family know to tune in on Saturdays at 11 o'clock, where we have the Sugar Buster series. And all of the Sugar Buster videos are available on our video website, hovhealth.com. These videos are on demand, so you can watch them at your convenience. Also on the website, we have Village Club, which is our concierge medicine program. You'll be able to talk to a physician to get a second opinion, or a pharmacist to help you with your medicines. We have life coaches, we have dietitians, we even have psychologists. Whatever your needs are, we're here to help you. And Village Club is the way to do that. It's an annual membership, very, very inexpensive, and we encourage those who feel like they need a little extra help to become part of our Village Club. We have a new program, a diabetes prevention program, that is actually a CDC accredited program. And now we have a new app, which we will be launching in the next couple of weeks. Our mobile app will allow you to be able to watch right there on your phone our weekly diabetes prevention workshops. It has recipes, it has handouts, it has the curriculum. It also has access to our Zumba and our yoga classes. You'll be able to watch all of that either on your computer or on your phone. So go to StepUp90.com. For just $6 a month, you can lose up to 5 to 10% of your body weight. All you have to do is follow the guidelines as we put them out for you. So in 90 days, you could lose 5% of your body weight. So summer's coming. Also on the website, hovhealth.com, we have our Village Store, where you could purchase a Bluetooth blood glucose monitor or a blood pressure monitor. Those Bluetooth monitors allow my educators to be able to see your numbers and work with you closely to get your numbers under control. So go to the website. We encourage you to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. If you have any questions, Please call us at 800-788-0941, and one of our wellness coaches will get back in contact with you to answer any questions that you may have. Thanks again for watching Sugar Busters. Hello, I'm Dr. Lenora Coleman, President and founder of Healing Our Village. Did you know 88 million people in the United States have prediabetes, and that number keeps growing? Did you know that more than 2 in 3 adults in the United States are either overweight or obese? Healing Our Village is excited to introduce Step Up 90 weight loss and diabetes prevention program all in one. Finally, there is a guided mobile app that will help you lose 5 to 7% of your body weight and help you get your 150 minutes of exercise in every week. All of this is available on your cell phone, notepad, or computer. To install Step Up 90, all you have to do is go to www.stepup90 from your phone or computer and hit the install button. Once the icon is added to your home screen, you can create a unique login and password or use your Facebook or Google login credentials. Do you have prediabetes? Does diabetes run in your family? Well, once you log in to Step Up 90, you can take the diabetes risk test. If you score more than 5, you may be at risk of developing type 2 diabetes. Step Up 90 features the CDC-approved Prevent T2 program, along with their food log, fitness log, and action plan. All materials can be printed or downloaded for easy use. Our monthly calendar provides our virtual class schedule with a reminder 30 minutes before the class to help you remember. Are you looking for easy to understand lifestyle videos, healthy recipes, exercise classes, nutritional support groups, or a cooking demonstration? All of this is available with our premium package. The most unique feature of Step Up 90 is your ability to chat with your lifestyle coach, a clinical pharmacist, or a registered dietitian. These experts will have weekly office hours. They are there to help you achieve your lifestyle goals and manage your medications. Sign up today for Step Up 90. We have our basic package starting at $5.99, featuring our weekly Zoom classes, and our premium package at $19.99. Step Up 90, it is time for you to step up.